Fantasy Footballers Sunday Live.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Sunday Live. It's me, Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright from the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Thank you for joining me. Oh, brother. It's week 14. We got a lot of injury things to talk about. We got a lot of weather things to talk about. And a lot of big decisions to make. It's gonna be a rough one, everybody. Gonna be some difficult start-sit decisions, of course. Joined by my best friend of the day. Joined by my best friend, Mr. Brooks, back there on the ones and the twos, keeping everything going. Thank you for joining me on Sunday Live. If you've never joined us, this is how the show works. We break down all the news, and there's a lot. And then we jump into popular start-sit questions. TheFantasyFootballers.com. That's where the rankings are. They are being tweaked. The algorithms are being modified, all of those things. But you can go check that out right now, the rankings, because I can't possibly talk about every single player. But we do have a start-sit tool up there. It's very handy, full of a bunch of information. Hopefully, we are equipping you to make the best decision that you can possibly make. And while we're doing that, we track what are the important questions, who are the hot players right now, because every single week there is inevitably some really hot players. I think I know who we're going to be talking about today, but we will get to that. But check that out, thefantasyfootballers.com. If you are a kind and beautiful supporter of this show at jointhefoot.com, that 2-player start-sit tool becomes a 4-player start-sit tool as long as I couldn't think of where I was going with that, Brooks. I fell apart. I thought
the mic stopped working.
The mic stopped working. Yes, I did. I broke. My brain shut down. Along with a bunch of other really cool perks. Jointhefoot.com. Anyways, you could check that out if you would like to. And then we jump into questions from the people. Oh, brother, Brooks. Let's get into the news.
The big picture.
Trevor Lawrence and his Gumby-like ligaments will be playing today. Along with he's got a very tough matchup. He's got a bum ankle. We'll see how that goes for him. I have lowered him, a decent amount. There's some other quarterbacks who I would prefer over him. Derek Carr has found his way back onto the field. I don't know what's going on.
Send in the car.
Yeah. No.
Send in the car.
No, let's not.
They're sending them in.
Oh, they are. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with the medics down in New Orleans. Does Derek Carr finish the game? I don't know. This guy's getting absolutely wrecked, but he will be out there. Who's starting for the Cleveland Browns? Does anybody know? Kevin Stefanski knows, but he's not telling. It's probably Joe Flacco. Stop it. Kevin, stop it. It's probably Joe Flacco. And then big news that came in from today, Geno Smith is trending towards out. He is a game-time decision. Seems that he had a groin injury on Thursday, didn't practice on Friday, if I remember that correctly, and he is a game-time decision. This is a potential disaster for all Seattle Seahawks players. I mean, you're playing DK Metcalf, but to go along with that, I will say Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, they are both expected to play, but it is the afternoon game. If you don't have backup options, it's really hard to have confidence in them. Between the two, I lean that I would play Kenneth Walker, but the matchup is tough against the San Francisco 49ers. You may not have your starting quarterback. It could be pretty bad for the Seattle Seahawks today. Divisional game, though, so weird stuff happens. Isaiah Pacheco, hopefully you were following along with the news of the week, and it went from Pacheco not practicing. He's got a shoulder issue. Maybe he's going on the IR. He's ruled out. He's not going on the IR, at least for now, but he is going to be out, which makes Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon very interesting players. The team was asked about how do we look at the running back room. They said Clyde will be the starter. I mean, that's what we expected. Clyde taking that thumper role, Jerick McKinnon taking on more of the passing role. But I think that both of those players are extremely intriguing. You have the Chiefs and the Bills still, as long as my numbers are accurate, they are still sitting at the number 2 over-under of the week, just slightly under 50 points. So, look, running backs don't change lines. Most running backs, I should say. Chiefs favored by 1.5 at home. Implied team total of 25 points. If you're in a pinch, I think that both Clyde and Jerick McKinnon make sense. Travis Etienne will play for the Jags. He's just, still dealing with some nicks and some bumps, but he's going to play. Breece Hall will play for the Jets. We will talk about the Jets and the weather in just a moment and how I'm looking at that. Aaron Jones, Monday Night Football. He is listed as questionable. He's been getting in some limited practices. Is he going to play? I have no idea. I had, before this, pretty strong confidence in A.J. Dillon as a good spot starter or a good top 24 play at the very least. But with Aaron Jones possibly coming back, you may want to look elsewhere. And again, that's the Monday night game. You won't know until tomorrow if you're counting on A.J. Dillon. Look, I still think Dillon is a fine play with Aaron Jones just returning from the practice or returning from injury, with the New York Giants being the matchup. A.J. Dillon should still be okay. Noah Brown is going to play for the Texans. Chris Olave will be in. Amari Cooper, he made it through the concussion protocol. He will be playing. Who's his quarterback, Brooks? Who's his quarterback?
It's a big mystery.
Yeah, we'll never know. We won't even know once the game has started who the actual quarterback is going to be. But so now we have a couple weeks in a row of players making it through the concussion protocol. Maybe they're speeding things up. Maybe guys are recovering better. I don't know. But the last 2 weeks, we had Olave, and now we've had Amari Cooper make it back. Tyler Boyd will play. Rashid Shaheed of the Saints. The news came back worse on his injury. He will be out. They are going to be taking a closer look at that to see what they're going to do. Josh Palmer remains out for the Chargers, so you don't have to worry about that. Christian Watson is out for the Packers. Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. I think that they both become very interesting options against the Giants. And, of course, if you're going to play some Monday Night DFS, my guy Dontavian Wicks. Tight end, the doctor. Dalton Schultz will be out. Brevin Almighty, a.k.a. Brevin Jordan, as he somehow he got named Brevin Almighty by Andy this week. But he's a tight end, but we're going to talk about that game in just a minute. Higbee will be out for the Saints. Taysom Hill is out. Higbee is out for the Rams. Taysom Hill is out for the Saints. Juwan Johnson is in. With the floor being 0, it's really difficult to go that way. Dawson Knox will be playing for the Buffalo Bills. This does affect Dalton Kincaid as the only tight end in town getting all those points. If I have Kincaid, I'm probably still going to ride with him over going to the waiver wire. But the 2 tight ends, that will be a good news for Stephon Diggs, who has been performing better in 12 personnel, better than 11. Dallas Goedert will return from his broken arm. We'll see how that affects Devonta Smith this weekend. And into the weather, because this is my favorite part, Brooks, when I get to play weatherman. So according to my trusted sources, the games that we are concerned about, Houston at the Jets and the Rams at Baltimore. How am I handling that game? Well, I have downgraded every player in each of these games. C.J. Stroud, we love C.J. Stroud. We can't stop talking about C.J. Stroud. Rightly so. Like, the dude is absolutely balling out, but he's going to New York, playing against that secondary, and now he will be versus the weather. He'll be without Tank Dell. I have my concerns there. And as far as the Jets, yeah, Zach Wilson is back. But if you're a supporter of Sunday Live, you know that last week I was talking about, for me personally, I had Garrett Wilson and Romeo Doubs. And it was another rainy game, and it was Tim Boyle. And I felt like this is just a scenario where Garrett Wilson's great, but I don't know if he can overcome this. And I kept with the name value of Garrett Wilson. It was the wrong decision. Romeo Doubs ended up being the better play. And so that was like not just a process, but I think that was results as well. So right now I'm concerned to play Garrett Wilson. Last week I think it was about 50 yards or so. Is Zach Wilson an upgrade over Tim Boyle? No, not really. I mean, maybe a little bit. It's like lateral. So I am highly concerned for all the Jets. C.J. Stroud and company probably can still move the ball, but, I mean, if it's super rainy, do we get more of the running backs? And who is it? Devin Singletary, Damian Pierce. It's an absolute disaster. And then the Rams against Baltimore. Lamar's going to play. He missed a practice because he was sick. But, a real rainy game as well for this one. Like Puka, he's in. But this is maybe you have a better option. Somehow you have a better option than Puka in the downpour. But again, it's weather. Like it's not an exact science. They're pretty good at it, but I'm expecting both of these games to be disappointing for fantasy football and that's a bummer here in Week 14, but it is what it is with everyone loving their football weather. Brooks, I think, we're slowly converting people. Like, after this weekend when we have Garrett Wilson people, Buka people, Kyron Williams people, Lamar, once they're all really disappointed, we'll get some people back on my side. Brooks, where are you in the debate, the great debate of Big Dome?
I'm Team Dome.
That's because you're smart, Brooks, and you know what's going on. All right, Brooks, is the computer ready? Let's see who's trending. It's going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
He's so hot right now.
Like I said, thefantasyfootballers.com, that's where the rankings are, the start-sit tool. Give you a bunch of different variables in our rankings, hopefully making the best decision that you can make. Brooks, who's trending right now?
Mike Clyde is the number one player overall, but we're starting somewhere else. I want to start with
okay.
CJ Stroud. You mentioned the concerns there. The number 3 popular search is Stroud or Fields. Is that a good pivot, Justin Fields?
Yes. Yeah, I love Justin Fields this week taking on the Detroit Lions. You can pass on them. He's still running an absolute ton, and DJ Moore is still there for him. So, yes, I would absolutely go Justin Fields over CJ Stroud and live with the results. It's CJ Stroud, who looks like a bona fide stud. Justin Fields is a kind of a fantasy stud, but he's not a real-life stud yet. I just used the word stud way too much. I apologize. But I'm playing Justin Fields over CJ Stroud. That with confidence. That's how I'm approaching it. Who's next?
All right, let's get to Clyde here. In half PPR, would you go Clyde over Jarek? Like, would full PPR switch it?
Okay, perfect. We're going to start with that one?
That's the number one, yeah.
All right. This is an extremely difficult decision. Jerick McKinnon was a true league-winning player last year. Once the run happened, I mean, it was all touchdowns. He is the receiving player. Like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire will get the groundwork, but there's a possibility that once they get inside the 5, that Jerick McKinnon's also going to get some work in there. I do have on the podcast we talked about we think that Jerick McKinnon is the play. I think that McKinnon has the higher upside. So if you are in a David Goliath matchup, I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon. If I just need some steady Eddie points, I'm going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Let's see, because it's Dynasty, so I've had Clyde forever, since the moment he entered the NFL, and he's been on my bench for a very, very long time, but I have made the pivot. I am playing him over A.J. Dillon. I don't know if that is a helpful anecdote, but I think that Clyde is a top 24 play. Again, 49 points. That's the over-under. It's the second highest of the weekend. The Chiefs coming in here. Let me see the implied team total. The Chiefs are number 4 behind the Dolphins, 49ers, Cowboys, and Kansas City is 4th. So we're expecting a ton of points here in this Bills game. You can run on the Bills, and the Chiefs they've been a run-heavy team. So what will their offensive philosophy be this weekend? Will they completely change from what they were and let Mahomes rip it? Or are they just going to keep being a run-heavy team and say, Clyde, you're the next guy up. You're supposed to be a good player. Carry us for a game. I think that's more of what it will be over Mahomes really getting to rip it out there. But again, the upside play is Jerick McKinnon. Just you need points, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And that's so. But either way, pick him up. Like, if you're in your league and you don't even need Clyde or McKinnon, you should be picking them up just in case this Pacheco injury is as serious as it was in the beginning of the week of, well, we might have to put Pacheco on the IR. If that's the case, you need to make sure you are blocking people from getting those running backs, because getting a starting running back for the Kansas City Chiefs for the stretch run for free, don't let that happen. Don't slip. Who's next?
Clyde or Keaton Mitchell versus the Rams.
Okay. Keaton Mitchell is a part of my downgrade. Look, when it's rainy and sloppy, maybe he's getting more work. Will they really keep going to the rookie in this ball security type of a game where it's sloppy? You know how you like the games extra sloppy? Or does Gus get in a little bit more? It's really hard to know. I would play Clyde. I'm going to chase those points and hope that the touchdown downs. Let's hope for one. Let's hope for one touchdown. Let's not get greedy. I think a touchdown's coming for Clyde this week. All right, who's next?
All right, another big weather name you mentioned, Puka. There's a lot of searches.
Yeah.
Names to them. Puka or Chris Olave.
Okay, Chris Olave against the Carolina Panthers. I do have Olave ranked higher. Derek Carr is back. Huzzah. We saw 100 yards and a half for Chris Olave a couple weeks ago before he got knocked out at halftime. So maybe Derek Carr has figured some things out, like throw to the best wide receiver on your team, and then good things happen. I would avoid Puka for Chris Olave. Let's see. So I got Puka down here at about wide receiver 20. So, I would be playing Week 14, I get it. It's tough. But guys I have above Puka, Rice, Sutton, Olave. I still have Devonta Smith despite Dallas, the double Dallas matchup, because he has to play the Cowboys and play against Dallas Goedert. See what I did there, Brooks?
Nice.
That was a good one. I liked it. So Puka is still in my top 24, but I have my concerns. I have my concerns for Puka. I have more concerns, I should say, for Nico Collins. He's moving forward after this week, you're going to be real happy that Nico is on your team. But against the Jets secondary, in the weather that I am seeing, I don't like it. I don't like it. I need to adjust some things. I need to move Hopkins up over Nico. Ugh. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Do we have any more trending players?
Last one, Mike. With the weather, would you go with Goddard over Isaiah Likely, even though he's coming back from the injury?
Okay, that's a fair question. Isaiah Likely was my start of the week before, we had locked in that we were going to have such a rain fest here. I would pivot back to Dallas Goedert. Get in that game also has a solid over-under. In fact, it is the number one of the only game with a higher over-under than the Chiefs game. It is the Cowboys and the Eagles. We're looking at 51 now. Games projected over 50 points I think they've only hit the over one time, so we've been a little disappointed there. But I would avoid the weather if possible. Goddard's a good player if he's healthy, which he should be. Returning from just a break. This isn't a leg injury. It's not a knee injury. He should be good to go. So I'm gonna go back to Goddard over Isaiah Likely, and that was it.
To the people.
All right, to the people we go.
Stardom, set 'em.
All right. Ben wants to know Zay Flowers or Brandon Cooks. I would go Brandon Cooks. The dude is on fire. Dak is on fire. Eagles secondary is, I think, the number one team that we are targeting right now. Just stick with that. And then anecdotally, Jason and I, in our Champ collaboration, we have a Pacheco problem, so we're looking for a flex. We have Zay Flowers, Zay Jones, and Jaden Reed. And right now we have Jaden Reed in our lineup. That's the decision that we have made and we're going to go with. So that just to highlight my level of concern for Zay Flowers in this matchup. It is very possible that Flowers is okay because he is such a short area. He's used in such a short area fashion that maybe he just gets 5 for 40 or something and you PPR your way to an okay game. But, check the weather, up to game time. But I'll just do a quick refresh, and yeah, we're still looking like we're in trouble there. So I would go with Brandon Cooks over Zay Flowers. Let's see, next question here. Patrick wants to know Trevor Lawrence or C.J. Stroud. So Trevor Lawrence gets to face the Cleveland Browns, which Denzel Ward is out. Will Trevor Lawrence finish the game? I imagine that ankle's going to be severely mummified and really wrapped up tight, getting wrapped every time he gets off the field. Maybe just a little bit more cloth wrapped around that ankle to make sure that it cannot move at all. It's his plant leg. Perfect. Perfect. I have them back to back. I have CJ Stroud one spot ahead of Trevor Lawrence. But if I had both of them, I would play Lawrence. If I had both, that's the direction that I would go. Let's see. Next question comes in from Marcos. Full PPR, Puka or Flowers? So I don't get to bail out of the weather. I get to dive right in. I would go between the two of them. I would stick with Puka. Just go with the better fantasy player between the two of them. Cross your fingers and hope for the best. Let's see. This next one says full PPR, Eckler or James Cook. So I guess we didn't really talk about Austin Eckler. There was an Ian Rappaport report that there's going to be another active running back. So 3 of them, and they will, quote, ride the hot hand. I don't know that the depth guys can beat out Austin Eckler, even at this point with the way that Eckler is playing, which is not great. Eckler has been lowered in my rankings. He's still in my top 24, but like I'm playing Clyde over Austin Eckler, Brooks. If you show me this tape and Eckler is better, I will deny that I said that. But I would play Clyde over him. But James Cook, yeah. I'll play James Cook over Austin Eckler at this time. It's not 1 week. Like, this is multiple weeks now that we have to have our concerns about Austin Eckler. So he's not in that start your stud no matter what. He's not in that range for me right now, and it's a super bummer. The next question is, we got Damian Pierce or a Bears running back or Kareem Hunt. This is from Fletcher. So I guess the Bears running backs must be on the waiver wire. Full PPR, huh? So the Bears running backs are out because Deonta Foreman's going to be back, and we have no clue. I mean, I guess in the full PPR you could take the chance on Roschon because if anyone's going to catch passes, it's going to be Roschon. Between these 3 options, I think I lean Kareem Hunt. I lean Kareem Hunt just slightly. That's an extremely difficult one. Next question here, scrolling up. Grant wants to know DK Metcalf or Chris Olave. Again, if you missed the opening of the show, Geno Smith is a game-time decision. With a groin injury, even if he plays, how effective can he be? One misstep and you have retweaked the groin injury, which you never want to do that. The matchup is terrible. I'm going with Chris Olave over DK Metcalf, that is absolutely playing with fire. 3-touchdown DK Metcalf sitting on your bench. I get it, which a lot of people had him on the bench last week, but I'm going to play Chris Olave. I'm going to go with my process. We are almost up against the clock, trying to find some good questions. We got Mike wants to know Lamar or Jake Browning. Dude, no. I'm still going to play Lamar. He in the rain, because Lamar runs. Like there is a situation where Lamar and the running backs, they're the ones who handle everything for that. And oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm going to go with Lamar. Was last week a complete fluke for Jake Browning? I'd be willing to find out with him on my bench, playing Lamar in the rain. And if I'm wrong, it's Jake Browning, man. If we're wrong, it's Jake Browning. And okay, he wins, we lose. That's fine. Let's see, we got a question coming in from BCat, who is circumventing the system, but he says Clyde or Justice Hill. Come on, BCat, that is absolutely Clyde. I'm not playing Justice Hill. The guy is not getting touches right now. Next question coming in, we got Swift or McKinnon from Eddie. I'm going to stick with DeAndre Swift. He had one down game. The game before that, wasn't a high fantasy finish, but he was still playing fantastic, chasing the points of DeAndre Swift, who is playing great on a great team. We are at the time limit here, but we got Jared Goff or Lamar. I would play Jared Goff in that situation, and then we will get out of here on this one. Oh, of course. I get it. Everything is a must-win. It's Week 14. Everybody's in a must-win situation. We are doing our best. Brock Purdy or Tua in a must-win game. They are back-to-back in my rankings. I'm going to go with Tua. I was going to say it could be Christian McCaffrey, but it could be a Devon Achane game. So that's tough. But against Tennessee, I'm going to take Tua. And then I guess I'll give you all one more. TJ says Brees or Mostert. That is Mostert, absolutely, for me. So that is going to do it. A reminder, thefantasyfootballers.com. That's where all the rankings are. Go check those out. I wish you nothing but the best and your enemies the worst, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you tomorrow. Good luck. Keep it beautiful. Mwah! Goodbye, everybody.